Hey listeners, did you know that Yogi Triathlete offers endurance coaching for body and mind? We offer personalized training plans for endurance sports, wellness and mindset, nutrition and recovery guidance, and race preparation and strategy, all within the supportive community of Team Yogi Triathlete. So if you're ready to conquer your fitness goals and push your limits, our endurance coaches are ready to guide you on the journey to peak performance. Go to yogitriathlete.com today to set up your free 30-minute discovery call and embrace a future of strength, stamina, and achievement. Your goals, our experience, the perfect match for unstoppable success.
Just after Morro Bay, half of the people that congratulated me were like, "Oh, when are you going pro?" And it's like the next question, everyone starts asking you. And for me, what I've learned, the biggest thing throughout these years is just not forcing anything and trying and impose a reality that might not be there for me. And that goes both ways. I'm not close to going pro or not going pro. So I think I'm just going to keep having fun with it and see where it goes. Like I said, right now I'm doing school and doing some work. So for me right now it's just a hobby, but I don't know where it will go. I enjoy it, so I know it'll be a big part of my life because I love doing it, love going in the ocean, and love pretty much every aspect of it. Believe it or not, some people say you gotta love 80% of it and then the other 20 you're gonna have to grind it out, but I like probably 99% of it. So I think that's the biggest aspect of it, and just really focusing on growing as an athlete and as a person, and really dialing in my process and seeing where it goes.
Welcome to the Yogi Triathlete podcast. We are Jess and BJ, and we're thrilled to have our friend Sebastian Radilla in our home today for this interview. Sebastian is no stranger to the podium, and he just captured the overall win at the now infamous IRONMAN 70.3 Morro Bay. This year's race had DNF rates at close to 400, most of which occurred during the swim due to a current that we heard was about 5 knots. The conversion on this, you guys, is 1.15 miles per hour equals 1 knot. So that means that the current was almost 6 miles per hour, which is faster than most people can swim. Sebastian, though, who swam competitively throughout high school and has continued to work on his swim through triathlon, came out of the water first in his age group and then moved through the rest of the field to capture the W on the day. We wanted to dive in with this champion to get a firsthand recount of his day and then also just some insight into what it takes to be a champion. Sebastian, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. So excited to be here with you guys.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now that I'm thinking about it, what does it feel like to be the first person to break the tape, come across that?
Oh, it was amazing. I had 1 overall in Cabo, but there was a pro field there, so I didn't get to lift the tape. But this one was pretty fun and pretty special, especially because the day before was actually my birthday. So it was a really nice celebration, and the trip was really nice. I came up with a few friends, Luke and Alec Merlino came over, and my whole family came over as well. So it was just a great environment and super, super cool. And just lifting the tape was the perfect gift. The day before I didn't go out to celebrate, and I told my friend Luke, then Sunday I'll go out and celebrate twice as big. So yeah, it was super fun.
How did you celebrate?
Just nothing crazy. Just went out to dinner with everyone. Just got some sushi, I think it was, and yeah.
And your parents were there?
Yeah, my parents were there. My sisters were there, and my grandma actually came over as well. So
have they seen you race before?
They have, I believe. Yeah, they have. Plenty of times. They saw me at Oceanside a few weeks ago where I did not have my best day, but it's part of it. I was in a big training block, so thankfully I was able to put it together, and also it's it's cool when you do well and people are there because it's a shared moment, so it was pretty cool to share that with them as well.
And are you willing to take the contrast of races, like having the effort in Oceanside come out that way and then be able to be on top at Morro Bay? Is that an acceptable thing for you as an athlete?
For sure, yeah. I think for me, triathlon is just all about learning about myself and just really growing as a person. So I think in all aspects of life, you gotta ride the highs and the lows, and yeah, Oceanside wasn't even that bad. Like I said, I mean, I still managed to get, I think, second in my age group. And for me, the most important thing is just having fun. So I succeeded at that in both races, and Oceanside is always fun. Just being the local race, seeing you guys, seeing Clark out on the run was good. So yeah, can't be too mad about not having the best day, but in the end it was super fun, so that's what matters.
And before we dive into really smacking down your experience at the race, you just said something about, learning about yourself, and I know you've done some deep dives with some deep books that I love, like Autobiography of a Yogi, and you've got that side of you for sure, but what have you learned about yourself? Like how has triathlon taught you about yourself? Yeah,
I think that's a good question. I think the biggest thing for me was a few years ago, I was like pretty focused on trying to be the best, maybe taking it a little bit too seriously. And really it's a fine balance and fine line between like focusing too much on your process and really seeing others. Like now with technology, seeing like everyone's Strava and just like it's like a constant reminder of what others are doing. So I think the biggest learning for me in the past few years and really this year was just like focusing on my process. And I think a big part of that was actually Lawrence, who you guys know, and through working with him remotely, I mean, even that was a big learning for me. I was like, I wanted to be in person with him, and in the end I was like, okay, this is what I have right now. I'm going to be grateful for that, and I'm going to work with what I can, And yeah, so I think that was the biggest personal learning for me, just focusing on my process and really just focusing on my race and my training and my everything, and getting to share with others in the races.
We love Lawrence, as you know.
Yes,
he's been on the show. I'm a big fan. What brought you to Lawrence? Like, why were you gravitating towards him?
Yeah, I think the primary reason was because I was as you may know, I was injured a year ago after Oceanside. I finished that race having 2 stress fractures on both of my shins. I was pretty sure before the race that there was something really wrong. But I decided, looking back, it's obviously a mistake, but I decided to push on and do the race because I was like, it hurts pretty bad, so I know I'm going to have to take a long break. I've worked hard for this, so I'm just going to like finish the race, hopefully not making too much worse, and then take the break I need to take. And then after that, I was like, I knew about Lawrence for a while, and then I saw something that really resonated with me that was about a runner. His name is Sebastian, actually, as well. And Sebastian Coe, I think, he's like a world record holder and an Olympic champion. And he said he didn't have an injury, or he didn't take more than a week off from running until he was like 45 or something like that. So that really brought me to him, because I was like, okay, I'm not moving properly, running shouldn't injure me. So there's something I need to look into and fix, and hopefully heal through movement, which I think is really, really awesome. And I really like all his perspectives. So
you just said something that's so important. I think running gets such a bad rap, and running shouldn't injure you.
Totally.
And in fact, we were born to run specifically. Yeah. We were, and bones are strengthened by running.
Exactly.
Because bone gets stronger through impact. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if your scaffolding is not situated in a natural way and running is super effortful, like Lawrence is all about just that relaxation. And we're talking about Lawrence Van Lingen. I'll put some links in the show notes. He's been on the show a couple times, and you can work with him remotely like Sebastian is doing. But Lawrence is all about really gentle movement. Exactly. And how do you think, like, for somebody who's driven like you, I mean, the three of us are very driven to our own relative levels, and it's almost a rewiring of this, like, more is better, because he is so gentle. How do you think that, just that type of mindset for caring for your body, how can that benefit triathletes? And you can just kind of speak to your own experience of this balance of like super gentle, but also like you got to go out there and you got to get those spicy workouts in too.
For sure. Yeah, I think first of all, it was really challenging to begin working with him. And also one of my friends who's been in the podcast too, Matt McElroy, I talked with him and he's been at my place. He stayed with me at Oceanside last year. And so when I was injured, actually, talking to him, he said something that really resonated with me and stuck with me. And it's like, sometimes you need to get slow before you get fast. And that mindset was carried on through the work with Lawrence. So for example, my swimming right now is not at the level it was before. I used to come out of the water ahead, but I'm working on some technique aspects and stuff like that really you have to take a step back before you can keep going forward. And that's exactly 100% what defined my experience with Lawrence. Was just more of a okay, let's use this injury. I'm stuck without running right now, so let's use this off time to really work on your movement patterns and really help your body, so that when I come back, every single session like reinforces a positive movement pattern. So for me, it was obviously just relaxing and being patient. I think that's super hard, being patient. For me, I like to do a lot of things, so I'm really, like any triathlete, I think we all struggle to take a day off or just be patient. But sometimes you got to do it, and then when you actually see the results, I think it's much easier the second time to be more patient, because it works. And like we were talking about, you just gotta embrace your process and rest when you need to rest and push hard when you need to push hard, and enjoy both sides of it. Otherwise, you're resting and feeling anxious because you're not doing enough, and then you're doing too much and you're feeling too tired. So you just stop thinking and just do what you got to do. That's what's worked for me, and what I think the biggest mindset shift that Lawrence brought on to me and my life in general.
How does someone navigate that, when to push and when not to push? Like, how did you figure that out? I know you've had some coaches, you've had some guides. Maybe Lawrence is a guide for you now too. Like, how do you navigate that? Because athletes are always like, I just don't know. Like, I know there were 10 intervals, but I did 6. I wasn't know if I should do 10 and when to back off. How do you temper that, like when to push and when to back off?
I think your intuition is the best thing. Like, you're not going to have anything else, in my opinion, that really knows yourself better than your intuition. And I think you got to follow that. And through following it and failing, you'll tune that and kind of like know. So like we were talking about, looking back into my race, before the race, I knew I was hurt, so I should have listened to my intuition and taken a break. But obviously I didn't, and I learned from that. And now I think my intuition is a little bit better. So I think that's how I navigate that. Yeah. Yeah.
I love how you just described that, because that's a question I think that's really common. Like, how do I know, and how do I trust my intuition? And it's like, well, just go with it. Mm-hmm. And, if it's a horrible failure, you learn. And if it's a wonderful success, you learn. Exactly. Like, you learn either way. I think there's a fear around it being a failure, but I think we can all agree that that's where we learn the most, right? No, to be even better and better down the line. And the thing about the intuition, somebody was saying to me recently, like, I should trust, I want to trust my intuition more. And people have told me to trust my intuition more. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, the only way to trust your intuition is to trust your intuition.
Exactly.
And so it's like you said, stop thinking so much and get more into the feeling. Get more into the feeling of things. And I think that that's a benefit of this gentle work that Lawrence offers the world. Like, for our team, I create these mellow moves, 30-minute classes where we're just moving, a little bit slower, and we're in poses longer that are just really easy, but you're just resting there. And I think that when we slow down, that's when we see our imbalances physically, mentally, and we can learn so much about ourselves without even having to take a step, right? Yeah. Like, it's just, you learn so much about yourself when you slow down.
One more thing on Lawrence before we jump forward. I know.
Yeah, exactly.
But the breathing aspect of things, we've had Isaac on, and he's taken that into a direction. Lawrence has a philosophy on breathing. How is that, if at all, impacted your racing and training, and do you incorporate anything specific that you focus on, or is it just the natural breathing exercises that Lawrence incorporates in his mobility?
No, I think for like specifically, I think just getting some of the breathing patterns and just like knowing how your breath, just being mindful of it is like the biggest thing. I feel like that's number one, you know. And so using some of the breathing routines pre-race, or like, it's really a pretty powerful thing you can do to either calm your body or really get hyped up. So I think you can use that really well in different scenarios. Like, you probably don't want to do super hard breathing before you get into a podcast, you know? So just being mindful, I think, is the biggest thing. And I don't go too in depth with like specific breathing routines or anything like that, but yeah, just trying to use what I've learned and applying it to specific scenarios and circumstances is the biggest thing, I think.
I was listening. That's great. Like, we all have our different take on what's working for us, and that's the most important piece. There's some of us, and this is where the breath needs to be calibrated. Some of us operate too low, like myself. Sometimes you're just like and you need to get that fire up. But other times we've got that fire going, like we're like so anticipatory, like at a race start. And we need to bring it. We need to chill out. Yeah, chill way out. Well, let's dive into. You're done with Lawrence? Yeah, we're done with Lawrence for now. We're done with Lawrence.
He'll sneak up on us again.
Yeah. Let's get into this epic race.
Yeah.
Like,
epic.
tell us about.
That's a controversial word right there, but yeah, well, let's go with, it was epic for me, so let's go with epic.
Yeah, let's go with Sebastian's epic. Take us from race morning. Bring us up.
It was such a great race. I mean, to begin with, it was an hour earlier than most races, so that's 6 a.m. start, so that's a little bit different. But just the day before, just getting everything ready. Traveling is super nice from San Diego. It was like a 5-hour trip, so came up with some good friends, with family. The morning of, I was feeling pretty good. I try not to pay much attention into how I feel race morning, you know, because your mind always wants to give you some extra thoughts that are not gonna do anything positive for you. So just try to focus on what I can do, get a good warm up before the race, which is something I failed to do at Oceanside, which I think is really, really important for me, more than physically, just to get your mind ready for like a battle, because you're gonna go deep into yourself. So just getting the body and mind ready for that. And then lining up for the swim, I saw my friend Catherine. She's an amazing swimmer. She led Oceanside swim, and she led this swim out as well. I think she swam in Berkeley, I believe, and she's just a phenomenal swimmer. So I knew since I saw her, those were my feet right there. I needed to try and hold on to her. So we came out. I managed to hold on to her on the way out, but then we turned around and she was gone. And then that's when the current hit. And to be honest, I didn't really know there was a current because I was just trying to swim as hard as I could. But I did notice it was taking me way, way longer to get out of the water. Like, I was thinking, wow, it took me like no time to get out there, and I feel like I'm like taking forever to come back. But I thought it was just like the race course being a little off or something. I don't know. Then I came out of the water. My lats were pretty sore, which is weird for me. I'm usually not. That's not something I get pretty sore usually. So that's when I knew something was up. I don't wear my watch when I swim, so I didn't really know the time or anything. But yeah, came onto the bike and just got to work on the bike and the run. Yeah, it was a good day. The numbers were there, and I was just feeling amazing. So yeah, it all came together pretty well.
The lats, is that because of your new swim technique?
Maybe. I think it is actually. Yeah. So before I was swimming much more with a higher stroke rate, and now I'm more long and strong. Exactly, which takes a little bit to develop. So I think I'm in that developing phase of that technique, and I could feel it that day. I was like, oh, maybe I should have gone back to my old technique. But no, I think in the end it was good, and it was also, I mean, it was a really hard swim from all I saw afterwards. So. Yeah, they're pretty crazy race. I don't know if anyone who's listening follows my friend Alec, but he did a great video both on YouTube and Instagram Reels about what went down. And yeah, like you said, Jess, I think 400 people DNF'd, which I don't know. Is that a record for Ironman?
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's like a third, or not a third. Well, 25%.
25%.
That's a lot. So your swim was 30:16. So how far is that off of what you would normally do for 70.3?
Pretty far. I think I've done 23 before, so that's pretty.
That's quite
far.
substantial.
That's quite a big jump.
There's the 6 minutes. I was thinking miles per hour, but that's the 6 minutes or 7 minutes. Transition's pretty quick, and then a 2:12 bike.
Yeah, that bike was solid. Came out and I was just feeling good, sometimes I struggle with not racing my race when I do these events, and since the morning I was like, I knew if I executed how I was capable of, it was gonna be a really good day for me compared to everyone else. So I went by the front group and I decided to not hang on no time. I was like, okay, I know I can push, so I just kept going. And then when I got to the turnaround, actually I took a time split to see how far ahead I was, and I saw I was like 4 minutes times 2, so about 8 minutes ahead of second and third place. So then I knew I was in a good place, but it's hard. I was talking with one of my friends before, and the biggest thing in races is not to get too ahead of yourself, or if you have a bad swim, not get too focused on that, or if you have a good swim, don't get too focused on that. Just do what you can do in that moment. So that's what I was telling myself. I came out of the water and that was not a great swim for me. So I was like, okay, that's it. Now you go onto the bike and you do the best bike you can. And then that also went on when I was having a positive day. I was like, okay, don't get too ahead of yourself. Don't start thinking about the run. Just nail the second half of the bike. And then that carried on to the run. I didn't get like comfortable or complacent. I was like, okay, just do your race. And I knew I actually didn't push as the power I thought I was going to be able to. So I just kept telling myself that like, you're capable of more, just you're doing good, but you're on track for a good day.
So on the bike, you were first.
Yeah.
Overall, too. First fastest bike. First place overall on the bike. Your power numbers, not to get too specific, but what you were targeting for in training on the trainer and maybe Fiesta, like you're doing the work. How off was that than what you performed on race day? So let's talk normalized power. Like, were you way off, or what was the?
No, so I can give a little bit of numbers. So my philosophy now is just to try and get as much time in threshold as possible, which for me that's around 325 watts, and for the race I was able to do 310. So that was around what I should be, and considering it was a rolling course, that was not a bad day at all, because you gotta like chill on the descents and then push on the uphills. So I don't think what my normalized was, but I think 310 was my average. So
okay, so you were close.
I was
close
there to my threshold. Yeah.
So was your threshold? Your FTP is 325, or probably a little bit higher?
Yeah, I think 325. That's what I can hold for an hour. I think.
Okay.
I do that based off of the lactate. So,
No, that's great.
320.
So I always wonder about that, like, because there's a discrepancy, and a lot depends on the course, obviously, because
for sure.
rolling or totally flat, like in Texas, or something like Placid, which is super hilly, or even Oceanside, which you're going to get some erratic numbers at.
Sure.
What was do you know what you pushed in Oceanside?
Yeah, that was 260. So
okay,
you can see that wasn't a great day for me at all. Yeah, that was a little bit off from what I was training for, but it happens.
All right. So you, when you came out of the swim, you were 8th overall. So you pushed past those remaining people and then held first, like all the way through the bike, through the run. And your run was, in my opinion, lightning fast at a 1:17:51. But how is that for you? Like past performance?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
So that's a good question, because going in, I knew my best run was a 1:20, but I did the Texas half marathon a few weeks ago, and I ran a 1:13, and that was like an open half. So I knew I should be around 1:15, even though my best result was a 1:20. But that going back to the mindset aspect, like you can't. you can't like compare yourself too much even to your past self, because if you're capable of more, why limit yourself to your own record, you know? So I was just thinking I'm capable of a 115, even if the numbers in parentheses like don't indicate that, but my training indicates that. So that's the most important metric for me, and that's where I get all my confidence from. So yeah, that was a good run. It was a hilly course, which was fun. I wasn't ready for that, I don't think, but it was a nice surprise. It was pretty hilly. Not like super steep hills, but more of a rolling kind of course. But yeah, it was fun. Got into a good rhythm and held it pretty well. I think I didn't fade too much on the second lap.
So that was that a personal best for
a half
for a half time? Nice, 1:17.51. That's pretty impressive. What was the thought around running an open half so close to the race, or what was the distance between those two? Was it a couple? You said a couple weeks. It was like
so. Actually, the reason why I did that was because I was going to do the Texas full Ironman. So I did the half Ironman, the half marathon in Texas 3 weeks before. I just had some friends going, some family going, so I was like, why not? And I get to see the race course for the Texas full, which was going to be my first full Ironman. But I ended up not being able to do it just because of some school stuff. I had a test that day. So yeah, not that day, but the day before. So it didn't end up working out, which was a bummer, but hey, it's what it is.
Okay, so probably then maybe about a month out, you did the open half.
Yeah, maybe a little bit over a month. Yeah, like 5 weeks.
Okay,
maybe.
I thought it was closer than that.
Yeah.
Because you're still in school managing all of this as well.
Right, yeah. I go to school here at the University of San Diego, which has been great. And yeah, it's pretty cool to balance school, training, and some work as well.
Yeah, a little bit of work in there too.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah. So I want to know, like, how do you manage all that? Like, what does a typical day look like? Because you're a high performer, and it sounds like you're a high performer in school and high performer at work.
Soka, yeah. So just to let everyone know, in case they're not familiar with what I do and who I am. So yeah, I go to school here at USD, and I'm actually doing 2 majors and 1 minor. So it's kind of a lot. I'm doing data analytics and real estate, and then a minor in finance. And then I'm doing, for work, I do a couple of projects. You're familiar with Soka, which is a multi-sport apparel company. We manufacture everything here in San Diego, actually, and then do mostly custom work. And I'm also involved in a few other projects with my family and some friends, real estate and some of that. So yeah, I think for me personally, I perform better and I get more organized with a busier day. So right now that I just finished school, sometimes it's hard for me to start the day. I start procrastinating, and I'm more of an efficient person, or more of an efficient schedule when I have a busier day. So yeah, a typical day for me just looks like training, school, and work, which I'm able to do mostly remote. But if not, then I can always go to the office or whatever.
So now no more school. So now you've got a gap.
No, I got a gap.
How do you feel that? How do you fill it?
Well, I'm doing a summer school class.
Of course you are.
Yeah, it's that won't take too much more of my time, but yeah, I'll fill it up with some extra work, some extra training, and some traveling and some family time. And we're going down to Mexico, where I'm from, actually. In 2 weeks, we're going to go to Cabo, so that'll be a fun little break from everything and change of routine. So yeah, that's how we do it.
Do you can you share with us what it was like growing up? Like, what was your life
for
like?
Sure.
Can you remember that?
Yeah, I do. So going back, I was born in Mexico City, and I lived there until I was 16, 17, I think, until 2017. So 7 years ago. I'm 22 now. I turned 22 the day before Morro Bay. And yeah, it was awesome. I grew up going to school, obviously, and playing all the sports. I really like to do all different sorts of sports. I played soccer. I played football. Obviously, swim, bike, run. I like to do wakeboard a lot, actually, and slalom, I think it's called. It's like one ski. I enjoyed that too. And yeah, it was super awesome. Just I really love the food in Mexico too. As a triathlete, I think food is something I really like as well. So yeah, it was awesome. And then moving here when I was in 2017 was also a great experience. I moved here to start the freshman year in high school, which was super cool. It was a challenge at first, obviously not knowing anyone and not even knowing the language that well was a challenge in itself. But I think I adapted well and met some of my best friends in high school track and cross country. The first year I actually did football and swim. And then the second year I did the track and field and cross country program where, like I said, I met some of my best friends. And yeah, that was super fun. And now coming back to now where I go to school, and yeah, it all kind of comes together.
So your parents are very supportive of adventure and challenges. Yes. Is this a theme in your siblings too? Do they?
Yes, yeah, it is a theme for sure. Yeah, they all like to do a bunch of sports. My little sister ran a half marathon yesterday just for fun. She's like 15, so yeah, she's probably gonna be a triathlete maybe. But yeah, my dad did triathlon when we were growing up, so we were kind of brought on the outdoors and sports, and I think that was really important because I think the main reason why I like sports and why I liked it in the first place and why I got into it was because of the community aspect and just like, yeah, doing it with other people and doing it for fun and not just doing it for training or anything like that.
And your dad and I share a birthday, right?
Yes, yeah. That is crazy. You guys are same birthday, but also same year. Like you were born the same day.
70. Is he same age as me?
Yeah,
51?
Same age, same day, same age. And I think I asked you last time, like what time, because it was so specific.
Oh, that's right.
And
that's
you're
right.
like within an hour.
8:30 in the morning or something.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know.
So your dad did triathlon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, maybe you guys will do one in the same age group.
Cool.
Yeah, that would.
Is he still?
He wants to do one soon, so maybe he will do Indian Wells or Cabo if it happens. But yeah.
Wow, pretty cool.
I'll introduce you guys so you can do some training together.
Absolutely. All right, so you might have talked about it, but how did triathlon come into all this activity? Like, how did you pinpoint it down to
triathlon? Yeah,
to triathlon.
It was actually because I couldn't pick. I liked all the sports, so I was like, when we moved here, my dad was like, okay, you do so many sports, but you really gotta like start focusing on one. If you can't do 25 sports forever, like try getting really good at one. So I was like, oh, which one should I do? Swimming, biking, or running? I was like, okay, I'll do triathlon because I can't pick. So that's how it came along actually. And yeah, I did my first race in Mexico. I was doing there's a series there in Veracruz and Valle de Bravo where we had our house. So yeah, that's how I got into it, just because I couldn't pick.
All right. Well, now that we're talking about triathlon again, I'm going to circle it back around to the race. When did you know that you were first overall?
When I got like 10 minutes into the bike, because there was a lead moto. So I knew then I was in the front. Yeah.
And what does it feel like to be hunted?
Actually, I wasn't feeling like that during the race. I was just focusing on my race, like I said, and I wasn't looking at anyone else until that turnaround. Obviously you got to play some tactics as well. So when I passed the group, I didn't really look back to see if anyone was hanging on to my wheel or anything. The first time I saw everyone was in the turnaround. When I turned around, I didn't know if I was going to have 5 people behind me or no one, I didn't look actually until the turnaround. So. And
who was behind? What did you see?
I saw it was Max Mahoney. He's a friend from Everyman Jack as well. And then I saw a few other people. And then I saw Luke, one of my buddies that lives here in San Diego, Luke Krager. Yeah. But yeah, I felt when I saw the gap, I felt good then. And I was just like, okay, it's working. I gotta just keep doing what I'm doing. So nice.
And then, how'd you feel on the run?
I felt really good, actually. I took I tried a new nutrition strategy, which I always think my stomach is pretty blessed. I like eating a lot of food, and then during the race, I was like, okay, I'll take this talent that I have and put it to work. So I took in a bunch of food, and then during the run, I felt quite well and I just felt solid the whole day. I held pretty even splits, I think. So didn't want to take crazy risks to try and like get a super fast run, because I didn't need to. But looking back, I think maybe I should have pushed a little more on the run.
Well, you ended up getting your fastest time.
Yeah,
so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Were you getting splits?
No.
All right,
splits.
so you were just running forward, paying attention to your own game.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about nutrition then. So you said new strategy. What did that like? Why was it new? What were you bringing in? More calories?
Yeah, more
carbs?
carbs. I took
carbs.
like 320 grams in the bike, so that was like 160 an hour.
That'll fuel a run.
Yeah, exactly. That'll fuel the run. So, but it worked, and I felt really, really good. I think I won't do that on a harder race, because obviously you can't, like, your blood needs to go somewhere else on harder races. But for the races like that, it worked pretty well. So
nice. And what are you using? Can you share what you're using?
I'm using mostly. I'm actually partnered with the Feet, so that's a really good sponsor to have on board, because you can pick anything you like. So what I use is Martin on my bottles, and then I use SIS gels, the Beta Fuel. Those are really good. They're like 40 grams per gel, which is a lot. And then I'm also sponsored by Delta G, who are the exogenous ketones. I don't know if you guys have tried them out, but they're pretty good. And I ended up taking 2 bottles of that during the bike, which worked, I guess.
And I've heard SIS, a friend of ours uses them, and she loves them because you don't have to take water with them.
Exactly. Yeah, they're amazing. You just take them like that, and they're really, really good. That's what I took on the run as well.
Yeah, I was wishing I had that out on the trail the other day. I was thinking like I was in the middle of nowhere, and I had to take a gel, and I was like, all right,
you don't want to take a goo when you're out there on a warm day. Those will definitely make you thirsty.
And do you feel like so you upped your, sounds like you upped your carbs a lot. Do you feel like that, we know that it plays into performance. It's giving you like not just calories, but looking at carbs is going to give you the fuel your body needs to perform. Do you feel like it plays into recovery as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I 100% agree with that. Yeah. I think carbs definitely help a lot with recovery. And I think one of the phrases the Norwegians use is like, limit your carbs, limit your performance. So I completely agree with that. You can't like limit your fueling. I mean, it's obviously pretty personal and depends on what your goals are, but for someone who wants to perform as best as they can, I think, you got to take in as much as you can.
Well, let's talk about that, because people are like, okay, now I need to take in 160 grams. Like, how did you practice?
Yeah.
And test it out.
I practice every day, just eating a bunch of food, but specifically in training, just building it up, and just you're not going to do anything in the race that you haven't done in training. So you obviously got to practice and make sure you're comfortable, because you don't want to go to. I think nerves from a race comes from the unknown, and you want to narrow it down and try to get as much of that unknown out of the way as possible. So if you're going into the race trying to test out a new nutrition, you're probably going to be pretty nervous, and I would be nervous as well, because you don't want to try anything new like that on race day. So I think just training and knowing that you feel comfortable and that you've worked yourself into it, it just makes it effortless on race day.
And how do you know, how do you know, have you experienced being underfueled? Like even like during the day, like I know you love your food, but are there signs that you see like, oh, I didn't eat enough today? Like you feel lethargic or you feel...
I think my stress fracture might have played into the fueling as well a little bit. And it's not specifically like underfueling as a whole, but underfueling during training. You don't want to get into a hole and then try and eat as much food when you're done as possible. I think especially coming from my high school days, we didn't really fuel any of the runs. Even if we ran 15 miles, we took no nutrition during the run. And sometimes you just go out and drink water after and be done. So I think it was a big learning curve. And I mean, really, if you fuel really well during your training, you can also perform at a higher level. So I think the benefits of it are really, really good. So you don't want to cut any calories when you're training. I don't think you want to do it somewhere else.
Yeah, food is a very interesting relationship, but it's a relationship and it has a lot to do with your mindset. I'm working with several athletes right now on this very thing, and understanding that it is a mindset, and we can look at what's not serving us, and we can use the power that we have of our mind to shift it into, the benefits of fueling, or shift into a new mindset. Yeah. But yeah, you gotta fuel. And for longevity, you're so young, you have a huge career ahead of you in whatever you choose to do. And you have much, you can get away with more when you're 22, but longevity for sure is like, that's being worked out right now. Yeah.
I think longevity is a pretty special topic. I read one of the books by, I think, what's it called? It's Lifespan by David Sinclair. And he goes into a pretty specific science about it. And also the guy who's Brian Johnson, he's like trying to reverse his aging. I'm also a follower of him. And I think you got to make a really big distinction. If you're an athlete, you can't listen to what everyone else is saying. Because, for example, David Sinclair, I think he lives on a caloric deficit. Every day he will take on less than what he consumes, and for an athlete that's not sustainable. So I think you got to make a really good distinction there. And even if some expert tells you that you need to eat less for longevity, I think for athletes that doesn't apply the same way. So yeah, I think that's a big an important distinction to make.
Well, I was just looking at your splits here. So just to review your splits on the day, you had a not so great swim at 30:16.
Epic swim.
Yeah, epic swim. Some pretty lightning fast transitions, 2:48 T1, 1:57 for T2. Your bike split was 2:12.21, and your run split 1:17.51, which is an average pace of 5:52. That's so fast. That's amazing. Okay, so there was drama at Morro Bay.
There was drama, yeah.
When you finished the race, what did you come back to? Was there still carnage getting cleaned up, or just a lot of chatter?
So during the race, there was carnage going on. Like when I came back from the bike to go onto the run, I saw so many people were walking with their bikes. I was like, what's going on here? Did they cancel the race and I just did the whole ride by myself, or what's going on here? Because I went into T2 with 400 people walking their bikes out. So that was weird, because usually transition, if you come out in the front part of the race, it's pretty calm. There's not many people. There's not much activity going on. But this day was 400 people walking their bikes out. So since I saw that, I was like, something's going on here. But I decided not to pay much attention. Just did the run. And even on the run, I could tell there weren't that many people spectating the race. Because usually, 400 people times 3 people that go support them, that's 1,200 people not being on the streets or whatever. So yeah, you could tell something was going on, and just the whole vibe felt different. Yeah, I don't know how to describe it, but it felt different. So I think, just finishing the race and seeing everyone. The award ceremony was crazy too. There were so many people either super sad or super pissed off at Ironman or super whatever. So yeah, it was a weird vibe.
The award ceremony / mob scene.
Exactly. Yeah, that was
angry
whack,
mob.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah. I don't mean to laugh because that was very natural and authentic. I laughed, but yeah, these are people, right, who invested time and money and everything, but it's an experience. It's an experience to be absorbed and processed. And I know a lot of people are probably pointing fingers and trying to get answers for something that, you may never get answers for, right? There's that unknown piece. But how interesting to see the contrast of that. Like the overall winner is coming in off a lightning fast bike, and then all these people are leaving. It's like, what's going on with the race? And
I know.
I think what you demonstrated there is just like, just keep moving forward until someone tells you the race is over.
Exactly. Otherwise, you just waste time thinking about something that's out of your control. So,
yeah.
And to be fair, I think people mentioned, I'm not sure about this, but people mentioned like the swell picked up after the first group came out of the water, which I don't know if that's true or not, but I'll just throw that out there because people might say like weaker swimmers had even harder conditions, which might be true. So I don't know.
Yeah, that I heard that as well. And I mean, there's a lot of opportunity in there to just kind of look at all of that. And I saw some of the like faces of people like there were some people that were pretty traumatized by that experience. So yeah.
So hopefully they get the refund and they try again, because that's not normal. So hopefully if you DNF and you're listening, please try it again, because it's going to be much more fun than that freezing adventure you just had. Yes.
Don't let that stop you.
Exactly.
Like you encountered one of the mountains in your life.
Yep.
And, you went for it. Everybody had to hit that current in order to either get through it or to end the race. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's like, everyone came up against that mountain, and there's more mountains coming. So just keep going. Like if anyone's listening to this who didn't finish the race or has a friend that didn't finish the race, like just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. Like you can be stronger for it, for sure.
Exactly. And that I think that's Ironman. Like you sign up for the challenge. So I think personally, I try and not complain about conditions. I mean, this might have been too extreme for some people, but for myself, like I think it was raining out there on the bike course as well. And during the race, you just gotta think, or at least I think, I mean, you're signing up for a challenge. So there's going to be challenges within the challenge. So you just gotta embrace that and know that, I mean, you're waking up at 5 a.m. or 3 a.m. to get in freezing water, and you do this because you like it. So in the end, you got to keep that in the back of your mind. Otherwise, you're going to not be really having a good time out there. Yeah.
And there's some arguments going on social media. I saw some things even just in the comments on one of your posts that DeBoer Wetsuits did, which was an awesome reel, by the way.
Thank you.
It makes you look like a rock star. And, the thing is, like I was saying to BJ, it doesn't matter, that they took the mass starts away, or that they have more downriver swims, or, the gates of all different kinds of fitness levels are now entering into this sport. You can't take away that swimming 1.2 miles, biking 56, and then running a half marathon. You will never take away the challenge of that, and then the Ironman distance being double, like that can never be diminished. That is going to be a hard day, period. So, I remember when they took away the mass starts, I was definitely one of those people that was like, what? But I was a different person back then. And the thing is like, you'll never take away the challenge of that distance. And so even if you find like, 70.3 miles is easy, well, then go harder.
Exactly.
Like go faster. Train yourself to go faster.
I think the more rewarding it is in the end. Like if you don't have to overcome any challenges, then you're not going to feel that great afterwards. But the more challenges you can overcome, the better it feels, I think. I
know, it's such a pain. Like it's such a pain because we know the challenges are the things that we're like, oh God, I just want to have an easy day. But could you imagine a life where you got everything you wanted? We'd be so bored. We would hate it. So, I mean, we sign up for these things because we love a challenge, and it's going to be a challenge, and you never know what's going to happen. Yep. Even though we think we know how a day is going to go, we don't. We don't know. Yeah. So what's next for you this season?
I think I might do, for sure I will do Santa Cruz and then Indian Wells. I want to do Cabo, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So maybe I'll do the one in Nayarit, Mexico. And I'm looking for another race throughout the summer, but I'm not sure there are many that I can drive to. I like driving to all my races. So I was looking at Oregon 70.3, but I think that one is pretty popular from what I can see. It's like sold out. Even the Ironman charity races are sold out, so that's not an option. But maybe one in Canada. I've never been to Canada, so maybe that'll be fun.
You'll drive to that?
No, I'm not gonna drive to. Maybe actually, my dad was talking about it. He also loves driving. Yeah, so he was like, "How long is it?" I was like 16 hours, and he was like, "Oh, maybe I can drive." No, I don't know. Maybe on the way back, but not on the way there.
That's a long one.
That's a long one. Yeah.
What are your ambitions and what do you see in this sport? Because obviously you've shared with us that joy and having fun is a big component to this, but is there something else? Is there like, jumping up to Ironman or going pro? Like is there a vision?
Yeah, that's a good question. Cause I feel like as soon as you start getting some success as an age grouper, like just after Morro Bay, like half of the people that congratulated me were like, "Oh, when are you going pro?" And it's like the next question, everyone starts asking you. And for me, what I've learned, the biggest thing throughout these years is just not forcing anything and trying and impose a reality that might not be there for me. And that goes both ways. Like I'm not close to going pro or not going pro. So I think I'm just going to keep having fun with it and see where it goes. Like I said, right now I'm doing school and doing some work. So for me right now it's just a hobby. I'm gonna go to Mexico for a few weeks now, where I might not be able to train as well as I would like. But I don't know where it will go. I enjoy it, so I know it'll be a big part of my life because I love doing it, love going in the ocean, and love pretty much every aspect of it. Believe it or not, some people say you gotta love 80% of it and then the other 20 you're gonna have to grind it out, but I like probably 99% of it. So I think that's the biggest aspect of it, and just really focusing on growing as an athlete and as a person, and really dialing in my process and seeing where it goes. But I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure yet.
What does coach say?
I don't have a coach, so
I know.
I say the same thing.
What is it like to be self-coached? Like being so young, I know you've had some great advisors and some great people in your life, but what is it like to take that dip and direct your own path? I think
it's obviously I've consulted with a few, like every now and then that I have questions, I will consult with an expert, but it's pretty good for me. Considering I have to do school and work, because my schedule is just unpredictable. Like I'm not really able to plan too far out. Like you saw in Texas, I had all the intention of going there and I wasn't able to. So I think just being able to adapt on a daily basis and being like, hey, they canceled class, If I had a coach, maybe I would have a recovery day that day, but I don't have class now, so I have time for a long ride. So being able to adapt quicker has been a really good thing for me. I obviously see the immense value of having a coach, but I don't think it's the best thing for me right now, just because I wouldn't be able to stick to the program as much as I would like. And I think that's like disrespectful to the coach to begin with, but also you're not going to get everything out of it because you need to be consistent. So I think controlling my own schedule and really being able to adapt has been really, really good.
And what does it take? Like, what does it take to be a champion? And we can say, yes, champion of triathlon, but like champion of anything really that you're going after in life. What does it take?
Hard work, a lot of hours, and having fun. I think if you don't have fun, there's no way you can be a champion of in anything. Like you can't fake your way through it. You need to have fun, and then the work doesn't feel like a struggle or work. You're just having a good time. So I think that's the biggest thing, and just trying to. There's this book by it's called Mastery by Robert Greene. He talks about really finding what is better for you as a person, and we're all unique and we all have our own inclinations and tendencies. So I think finding whatever your passion is and really following that will make you a champion, because you will work and the work won't feel like work. So that's when you know you're doing things right, I think.
Beautiful. I think that's a good place to wrap it up, Sebastian.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for sharing about your experience. And in a race that had a lot of controversial chatter, it was really nice to hear about this massive victory and that you had an amazing day. And so we're always going to see that. We're going to see the dark. We're going to see the light. We're going to see the challenge. We're going to see the joy. Keep going anyway.
Thank you. And thanks for having me. It's cool to see you guys not in Lycra, because I don't know if people know, but BJ and I, and also Jess, we've been training partners as well. We've done plenty of Henshaw loops, some open water swims, some off the bike runs. So yeah, it's great to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, thanks so much. How can people follow you? How can they get more of your awesome journey ahead?
For sure. Well, they can follow me on social media, I guess. But they can.
Where are you at? What's your handle on Instagram?
It's my full name, Sebastian Radilla. So they can follow me there. And just if you're at a race, I would love to say hi and do a session together or something like that. I always love to meet people in the triathlon community because everyone is so cool and people are just, super nice. So.
I agree. Well, thank you, Sebastian. You're one of them.
Thank you.